Welcome to the Silent Crime Archives channel. Today we dive into a chilling story that unfolds in the heart of suburban Brooklyn, New York. This isn't just another tale of a quiet neighborhood. It's a twisted narrative of obsession, secrecy, and ultimate betrayal. Our story begins on the cold, quiet night of January 26th, 2011. The Carter household slowly descended into darkness as the lights flickered off one by one, leaving long shadows stretching across the seemingly peaceful suburban street. Yet, behind this tranquil facade, a storm was brewing. No one could have predicted the tragedy that would soon erupt, shattering lives and exposing secrets no one was ready to confront. This neighborhood was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where secrets rarely lasted long. The manicured lawns and friendly waves gave an illusion of harmony. But as the winter winds howled outside that fateful evening, a truth darker than anyone could imagine was about to come to light. At the center of it all was Laura Morgan. At 38 years old, Laura appeared to have it all: a beautiful home, a successful corporate lawyer for a husband, Richard Morgan, and two children who excelled at everything they did. Laura was a vision of perfection, always put together, always smiling, the woman everyone admired. But beneath the surface, Laura's life was far from perfect. Despite his professional success, Richard's career demanded long hours and constant travel, leaving Laura alone to manage their picture-perfect household. Though she kept herself busy with yoga classes, charity events, and coffee dates with the neighborhood wives, Laura felt something was missing. Her life felt hollow, a stark contrast to the vibrant passion she once knew. Richard had become increasingly distant, more consumed by work than their marriage. He gave Laura everything she could ever want, materially, but failed to provide the one thing she craved most: love and affection. Enter Emily Carter, the charismatic 22-year-old daughter of the Morgans' next-door neighbors, James and Anna Carter. Emily had just returned from college for the summer, radiating energy and confidence. She wasn't the little girl who once rode her bike around the block anymore. Emily had blossomed into a vibrant young woman full of ambition and charm. Laura was drawn to Emily immediately. She saw in Emily the spark of youth and vitality she had lost over the years. Emily, in turn, admired Laura, viewing her as a role model, someone she could confide in about her dreams, fears, and uncertainties about the future. But their seemingly innocent friendship soon crossed a line that neither could ignore. As they spent more time together, Laura began to feel emotions she hadn't experienced in years. Emily awakened something deep within her, a longing for excitement, passion, and connection. What started as friendly conversations over coffee soon turned into secretive meetings filled with tension and undeniable chemistry. Emily, despite her initial admiration for Laura, found herself drawn to Laura's charm and sophistication. There was an allure to Laura's maturity and mystery that Emily couldn't resist. One evening, after a long walk through the neighborhood park, the unthinkable happened. Sitting on Laura's front porch, the tension between them reached a breaking point. Emily leaned in and kissed Laura. For a moment, Laura froze, unsure of what to do. But then she gave in to the overwhelming rush of emotions, kissing Emily back. From that night on, their relationship changed forever. What began as innocent camaraderie transformed into a secret affair. They met in secluded spots, away from prying eyes, and shared stolen moments that felt thrilling and forbidden. Laura was intoxicated by the secrecy and passion Emily brought into her life, something she had been yearning for desperately. But with every stolen kiss and whispered word, the stakes grew higher. Laura was risking everything: her marriage, her family, her reputation. And yet, she couldn't stop herself. Emily, too, found herself swept up in the whirlwind of emotions, but the weight of their secret began to take its toll. By the summer of 2010, cracks began to form in Laura's seemingly perfect life. Richard, ever the observant husband despite his busy schedule, started noticing changes in Laura's behavior. She was more distant, more distracted, and spent an unusual amount of time away from home. When he confronted her, Laura dismissed his concerns, attributing her behavior to stress and exhaustion. But deep down, Richard couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Meanwhile, Emily, racked with guilt, began to pull away from Laura. The excitement of their affair had faded, replaced by fear and anxiety. Emily's parents, James and Anna, noticed her growing unease but assumed it was related to the pressures of college life. They never suspected that their trusted neighbor, Laura, was the source of Emily's turmoil. The breaking point came on a sweltering July afternoon. Emily, unable to carry the burden of their secret any longer, decided to end the affair. She arranged to meet Laura in a secluded corner of the park, intending to break things off for good. When Emily told Laura it was over, Laura's world came crashing down. Overcome with desperation and fear, Laura begged Emily to reconsider. But Emily was resolute. She knew their relationship was damaging and had to end. Laura couldn't accept Emily's decision. Her desperation turned into a fierce determination to hold on to the only thing that made her feel alive again. She grabbed Emily's hand, her voice trembling as she pleaded, "Don't leave me. You're all I have." But Emily, standing firm, insisted the affair was over. In a last-ditch effort to maintain control, Laura resorted to threats. She warned Emily that if she walked away, she would expose their relationship to everyone, her parents, Laura's husband, and anyone else who would listen. "You'll lose everything," Laura said with a chilling intensity. Emily froze, stunned by Laura's words. The thought of her life unraveling was too much to bear. Caught between fear and guilt, Emily reluctantly agreed to continue the affair, though her feelings had shifted entirely. What had once been fueled by passion was now tainted by manipulation and control. For Laura, this temporary victory was hollow. The dynamic between them had changed, and Emily's reluctance only deepened Laura's paranoia. The obsession that had once felt thrilling now consumed her entirely. As the months passed, Emily became increasingly distant. She began seeing someone new, a young man from her college who made her feel free and grounded in a way Laura no longer could. This new relationship brought Emily hope, but it also pushed her further from Laura. Sensing the shift, Laura's obsession grew darker. She began showing up unannounced at Emily's house, trying to catch her alone. She drove by her college campus, searching for signs of Emily's new life. The fear of being replaced ignited a firestorm of jealousy and rage within Laura. On January 26, 2011, Laura reached her breaking point. She discovered that Emily's parents, James and Anna, would be out for the day, leaving Emily alone at home. Viewing this as her last chance to confront Emily, Laura drove to the Carter residence, her mind racing with thoughts of how she could make Emily stay. When Laura arrived, the atmosphere was tense. Emily was startled to see her, and their conversation quickly escalated into a heated argument. Laura, desperate and on edge, begged Emily to reconsider. Emily, determined to move on, stood her ground and told Laura once and for all that their relationship was over. That's when everything spiraled out of control. Overcome with rage and despair, Laura snapped. In a moment of uncontrollable fury, she lunged at Emily. The confrontation turned physical, and Laura, blinded by emotion, grabbed Emily by the neck. Emily fought back, but Laura's grip was too strong. Within moments, Emily's body went limp, and the life drained from her eyes. As the reality of what she had done set in, Laura was consumed with panic. She stood frozen, staring at Emily's lifeless body, unable to comprehend the horror of her actions. But she knew she couldn't let anyone find out. Desperate to cover her tracks, Laura hastily staged the scene to look like a robbery gone wrong. She overturned furniture, emptied drawers, and scattered broken glass across the room. Grabbing a few valuables to sell the illusion, Laura fled the Carter house, leaving Emily behind. The next day, the quiet neighborhood was shattered by Anna Carter's piercing screams. She had returned home to find Emily's lifeless body in the living room. The scene was chaotic. Evidence of a struggle was everywhere. But for Anna, none of that mattered. Her daughter was gone. The police were called immediately, and it didn't take long for detectives to recognize that this was no ordinary robbery. The manner of Emily's death, strangulation, was deeply personal, suggesting the work of someone close to her. 2 months later, the case landed in the hands of Detective Haley Miles, a seasoned investigator known for her sharp instincts. From the moment she reviewed the evidence, Detective Miles suspected that the robbery had been staged. The chaos at the scene seemed calculated, too deliberate to be random. Miles began piecing together the events leading up to Emily's death. Her investigation revealed inconsistencies in the alibis of those closest to Emily, including Laura Morgan. While Laura appeared cooperative during questioning, Miles noticed subtle signs of nervousness, shaky hands, evasive eye contact, and hesitations in her answers. The real breakthrough came when phone records revealed an unusual number of calls and text messages between Laura and Emily in the months leading up to her death. These interactions hinted at a relationship far more intimate than a typical neighborly connection. As Miles dug deeper, forensic evidence from the crime scene painted an even clearer picture. Fibers found on Emily's body matched clothing owned by Laura. Although circumstantial, this evidence tied Laura to the scene in a way she couldn't easily explain. The case against Laura intensified when a local teenager came forward with a crucial statement. They claimed to have seen Laura leaving the Carter residence on the afternoon of Emily's death. This testimony placed Laura at the scene during the critical time frame, further implicating her in the crime. As the evidence mounted, Detective Miles obtained a search warrant for Laura's home. During the search, investigators discovered a piece of Emily's jewelry hidden among Laura's belongings, a distinctive item her parents immediately recognized. This discovery was the nail in the coffin for Laura's defense. With the discovery of Emily's jewelry in Laura's possession, the case against her became airtight. Detective Haley Miles wasted no time. Laura Morgan was arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder, and the news sent shockwaves through the quiet neighborhood. The arrest shattered the illusion of Laura's perfect suburban life. She, who had been admired as a devoted wife, mother, and friend, was now the center of a horrifying scandal. Reporters swarmed the neighborhood, and whispers of disbelief rippled through the community. How could someone so seemingly flawless commit such a terrible crime? Laura maintained her innocence, claiming she had found the jewelry on a walk and intended to return it to the Carters. But her explanation rang hollow. The weight of the evidence, her connection to Emily, the fibers found on Emily's body, the phone records, and now the jewelry, painted a damning picture of her guilt. When the trial of Laura Morgan began, it became a media sensation. The courtroom was packed with reporters, neighbors, and onlookers, eager to see how this shocking case would unfold. The prosecution built a chilling narrative, portraying Laura as a woman consumed by obsession. They described how her illicit relationship with Emily had spiraled into possessiveness and desperation. Laura's fear of losing Emily, they argued, drove her to commit the ultimate act of violence. The forensic evidence became the cornerstone of their case. The fibers matching Laura's clothing, the phone records showing an unusually intense relationship, and the eyewitness testimony placing Laura at the scene. All of it painted a compelling and irrefutable case. The most damning piece of evidence was Emily's jewelry, found hidden in Laura's belongings. The prosecution argued that Laura had kept it as a keepsake of their relationship, a sinister reminder of her control over Emily. Laura's defense team struggled to counter the mountain of evidence. They attempted to paint Laura as a victim of circumstance, suggesting the crime scene evidence was coincidental and that Laura's relationship with Emily was purely platonic. However, their arguments lacked the substance to sway the jury. After weeks of testimony and dramatic courtroom moments, the jury deliberated. When they returned, their verdict was unanimous. Laura Morgan was found guilty of first-degree murder. The sentence was clear and uncompromising: life in prison without the possibility of parole. As the judge read the verdict, the weight of the decision hung heavily in the courtroom. Laura sat stoically, her expression unreadable. For the Carters, the verdict brought a measure of closure, though their grief remained immeasurable. Emily's parents, James and Anna, wept quietly, knowing they would never truly heal from the loss of their beloved daughter. In the days following the trial, the neighborhood struggled to process the horrifying reality of what had happened. The Morgans, once seen as the ideal family, were now synonymous with tragedy. Richard Morgan, Laura's husband, filed for divorce and moved away, unable to cope with the betrayal and public scrutiny. The perfect family image was irreparably shattered. The case became a cautionary tale for the community, a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. The idyllic suburban streets, once a symbol of harmony, now carried a shadow of suspicion and unease. As Laura Morgan began her life sentence behind bars, questions lingered. Could this tragedy have been avoided? Was Laura's descent into obsession a result of loneliness, or was it something darker within her all along? Detective Haley Miles, who had unraveled this complex and chilling case, reflected on the lessons it taught. Behind every seemingly perfect life lies a story waiting to be uncovered, a story that could shatter the illusions we hold dear. And with that, we close this chapter of a tragic and unforgettable true crime tale. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We have many more shocking tales to share, where the seemingly ordinary takes a dark and unexpected turn.